Hey guys, very excited to be sharing with you my review of Mancera's Black Gold. And this is an absolute gem of a fragrance. But let me first share with you briefly my experience with this fragrance because it wasn't it was sort of a love at first sniff, but I held off on buying it because there were some parts of it that were challenging to me. And if you're looking for a recommendation, if you have any experience with the brand Mancera and you like their fragrances in general, you like how they do fragrances, then you're gonna love this. I think this is one of the best from the house. It's one of the smoothest and best and most interesting and unique compositions in my opinion. And it's just done so well. You know, the choice of different notes here, they work so well in concert to create a beautiful fragrance. So this is a 2017 release, and I would call this a leather floral fragrance. Okay, so if you like the note of leather, you're gonna enjoy this fragrance. If you like the note of cinnamon, you're gonna enjoy this fragrance. And then if you like the idea of a masculine perfume with florals, then you're also gonna like this fragrance. Okay, so it's a very easy recommendation, but the reason it was tough for me is when I first wore it, the smell was so beautiful and intoxicating. And I thought, this is a perfect scent. But as you know, Manceras are very powerful. And the scent was a little bit overwhelming for me. There is this prominent cinnamon note that, for me, cinnamon, you know, if not done a certain way, combined with some sweetness and fruitiness, can be a bit stuffy for me and a bit nauseating. And so that's what I experienced with this. But despite that, right, hurdle, I ended up buying the full bottle, and that just goes to show you how good I think the scent is. I think even just based on artistic merits, you know, I had to have this scent because it was just such a nice creation. And I think as long as I control the sprays, one or two, or up, you know, maximum of three, then I'm gonna be good with this scent. And of course it's summer now, so this is not the ideal time to wear this scent. Although I do think this is wearable year round, the ideal time would be the fall. And I think that this kind of stuffy vibe that I'm getting indoors in a small space is not gonna be an issue so much when I'm wearing this outdoors in the fall. It's really gonna, you know, shine in that kind of weather. So, as I said, this is a leather floral fragrance. Okay, that's how I would describe this. So let me first tell you other fragrances that this reminded me of. So on the first wearings, the first spray, in fact, I thought about Thierry Mugler's Pure Malt because of a similar kind of fruity, woody sweetness as well as an earthiness. But big difference is that this doesn't come across as dirty or as synthetic. This comes across much more elegant and refined and more mature. There's also a strong cinnamon note here in the likes of Azzaro's Wanted by Night, which also combines that cinnamon with fruity notes and lavender. And you do get that similar combination here, especially in the opening. But this heads into a different direction in the dry down, and this is much more supported by a leather note that comes through. And so it ends up having a more powdery, again, soft and sophisticated touch as opposed to Wanted by Night, which to me comes across much more synthetic, sweet, and candied, right? A bit like a candy sweetness. This one comes across more soft and powdery. And then in the mid of this fragrance, at times I thought about the fragrance Narciso Rodriguez For Him, the original. That one is a challenging fragrance, and I've reviewed it before. Here the heart consists of a bunch of florals, but it does include the note of violet. And it is not just the violet, but the violet combined with the musk and combined with the oud that's in here that, you know, is better smelling, in my opinion, than Narciso Rodriguez For Him, but it similarly gives off a little bit of that bitter kind of feel that can be a bit challenging. And again, that fragrance was a little bit nauseating for me. So this can do that, But again, you know, I really spent my time with this one because I wanted to give you a good review, but also I really, you know, was carefully considering whether I would buy this fragrance and whether it would be, I would actually end up wearing it. And I think so, because this is just a very well-balanced, well-blended composition. Okay, so let's get into the details, right? Let's talk about the transitions that happen in this scent. Oh, before that, real quick, just quick bottle presentation, just because I think this is one of the sleekest looking bottles around. You know, I'm not a Mancera fan. Actually, I find the brand to be a bit challenging to me just because of how, you know, thick their perfumes are, and they smell a bit more, a little bit less natural. It just seems like a lot of ingredients get thrown in there. But this bottle, man, I mean, it's different from the other Manceras with this nice logo and just a nice matte kind of slate-like finish, okay, which just feels so good in the hand. Price I got this for was $100 for this 4 ounce. So let me give you a spray and we'll talk about, you know, how the smell transitions. I'm already picking it up from here the minute I open the cap. So and it's really nice, right? So I'm gonna go with just one spray here. Okay, let it dry a little bit. Yeah, so this is what really got me hooked right away. The opening, for me, is the favorite part of this. My favorite part of this fragrance. It's just so addicting, right? What you get is it comes across, and this is where I was surprised. It comes across surprisingly fresh. So what you get is this really juicy citrus, along with other general kind of a fruity vibe, combined with lavender. And so you get this very sharp, sweet opening. And this sweetness, the reason why it's so addicting is it has this, you know, kind of syrupy quality about it. Initially a little bit sticky, but as it dries down, like I said, it goes into a more dry and powdery direction. But initially, the stickiness actually is a good part about this fragrance. It has a smooth, syrupy sweetness about it, a fruity sweetness that is supported by a really kind of intense woody background. And like many Manceras, this contains agarwood. And agarwood, so, you know, you have different kinds of woods out there in nature, right? You have things that are more kind of shrub-like, you know, things that are more mossy. You have things that are like sequoia and very airy and majestic and fresh. You have kind of dry, clean cedar. Agarwood is very unique. It is a dark, resinous wood, and basically you get what we call agarwood when you have a certain species of a tree that becomes infected with mold, and that's what you get. That's what agarwood is referring to. And this species of tree, where agarwood comes from, actually thrives in a rainforest climate. So agarwood, to me, often gives this kind of rich, almost inky, really kind of resinous feel, right? Compared to other woods. So totally unique. And when you use it in just the right amount, I think it just creates this addicting feel, right, that you get in fragrances. And recently I talked about Orman Man, and there the oud oil gives a similar effect of this kind of intoxicating, addicting feel. Similarly, I like animalic notes for the same reason. They have something about the smell where, you know, maybe it's challenging to people, but it's an aphrodisiac, right? So it has that quality. And that's what drew me in. So you get this sort of intense wood. So you get a very like damp, like rich, dark, woody smell. And then very quickly, the florals come in, right? I'm already starting to get a bunch of florals. You get a hint of rose sometimes. You get sometimes more white florals coming through. But generally, you can just think of this as having like, you know, floral bouquet that starts coming through. And these florals, this is where this fragrance I'm saying is such a good creation. These florals give this fragrance an airy quality and almost slightly powdery. And it's the kind of florals that have almost a slight aquatic tone as well, right? Slight watery element that when you mix it with the heavier notes, you know, you think this is sort of a year-round fragrance. Like there is no particular kind of situation or particular weather that you think of right away. It just seems like a well-balanced scent. But if I had to pick, I think that this really would shine, obviously in cold weather, but primarily in the fall, this sort of transition weather. But you can wear this any sort of evening out. It's a real perfect night scent. A bit heavy for like everyday use. I think your nose is really gonna get burnt out from this kind of smell. But like I was saying, these florals brighten up what would otherwise be a very dense, woody scent, especially because even in addition to the woods, you also have the sweetness that keeps continuing through, and it is not just the fruity sweetness. There's also an amber base here that lives throughout the whole life of this fragrance. So you get this syrupy sweetness that is there the whole time, basically, and you add on to that some aquatic florals and now the leather note. The more it dries down, the more you're gonna start to get the leather note. And again, the cinnamon, when you combine it with the florals, I think just adds to the slightly powdery quality that you get from this fragrance. I often get that powdery, slightly stuffy feel from cinnamon. For that reason, it's sort of a warm spice, right? Warm and slightly sweet. But like I said, if you like cinnamon, you will absolutely love this. I don't like cinnamon generally in fragrances, but despite that, I'm still enjoying this fragrance. And important to mention also is that I'm telling you, this is a dark this is a dense fragrance, a heavy fragrance that I found challenging at first. It actually doesn't wear thick or syrupy, despite me saying that there's a syrupy sweetness, because it's so balanced with the lavender, giving it a more kind of sharp quality, along with the florals. And it turns more powdery, and then you have the leather that gives it this dryness. It ends up wearing quite fluffy. I think that that's going to work well for a lot of people. The fact that it's not a dense fragrance that just is just so strong, so sweet. It's a balanced fragrance. And like I said, I called it a leather floral in the beginning because that's what you get mostly. Those are sort of the main players, I think, in the dry down. Definitely you get leather, and leather in general is can be a challenging note. It's not like a pleasant smell for everybody, but like I said, if you enjoy leather, you'll enjoy this. And this is a kind of fragrance where I think the leather note is done in such a delicious, attractive way, where the leather, it gives us warmth and dryness and coziness, and it envelops you. And at the same time, if it did just that, it would be a pretty boring scent. At the same time, you sprinkle in the florals, and then you get this amber accord that gives us sweetness, along with like I said, you combine that with oud, and you almost always see oud going with amber. You get this woody, kind of rich, woody smell, right? That still manages to retain some of the fruitiness and some of the tartness that you get in the beginning, but there is definitely an evolution of the scent from the first spray to the, what was it been like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. There's definitely a constant evolution, and then it ends up into a steady sort of dry down smell that you get, which is very pleasant. And I said in the beginning, I would go with just a few sprays on this. If you're going to be indoors, one spray max, in my opinion, because this scent just pops right off your skin. I'm sitting here and I'm getting it. My hand is sort of stretched out and I could smell it. It really projects. It's got a monster projection. And so you really want to go with like one indoors. But this is a kind of scent where I would recommend you wear outdoors. And outdoors, man, if you're, let's say, hiking in the fall, this is going to be so nice. It's just going to cut right through the cold, kind of brisk air. And like I said, there's a warmth about it that's just gonna wrap you up, and there's an intoxicating sweet, syrupy sweetness as well. So real perfect fall scent, but you could consider picking it up now and trying it out, because like I said, you could wear in different situations. This is sort of a universal type of scent, just a bit too strong, like many Manceras. Right, guys, so that's my review of Mancera's Black Gold for you. Total recommendation, with the caveat that if you really don't like cinnamon, you don't want floral notes at all in a fragrance, don't get this. If you're also kind of find Mancera challenging because of how intense and strong and maybe sometimes synthetic the scents come across, also test this out first. But if you like the brand, go for it. This is one of the best offerings, I think, from the house, and just a really nice creation. All right, so that's it, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.